Have you stepped out in faith and then crashed? Did you act on what you thought was God's leading and it turned out badly? Were you then disappointed with God? If you're a serious Christian, I'm sure you've had that experience. I certainly have. In fact, if you ask any Christian leader, I'm sure they'll tell you of times when they prayerfully and carefully stepped out in faith and it didn't turn out the way they had expected it to. And this can be shattering. It can cause all kinds of self-doubt and condemnation because you're thinking, did I really hear from God, or was it just my idea? In fact, do I hear from God at all? Can I really trust my ability to hear God's voice? This can be a very painful experience. Of course, and Satan rides right in on that because he'll say, oh, you didn't hear from God. In fact, God doesn't speak to you. In fact, you're not good enough. You can't trust your ability to hear God's voice. And don't try that again. Don't step out in faith again. It's just too risky. Play it safe. So Satan loves these situations. But you know, these kinds of things even happened in the Bible. In Matthew 8, Jesus tells the disciples to head out across the lake, and he was with them asleep in the boat. And they run into a life-threatening storm. And then in Matthew 14, he sends them across the lake, he goes to pray, and they run into very bad weather. So Jesus has to walk out on the water to rescue them. Now you'd think the disciples at some point are going to be saying, why does he keep doing that? Why does he keep, we're doing what he told us to do, why do we keep running into so much trouble? But to me, I think the most powerful example of how the disciples got disillusioned was how they handled Jesus' death. You see, they just couldn't accept, when Jesus was explaining to them that he was going to die, they thought he was going to establish the Messianic kingdom, and they were all going to be really important people. And so when Jesus was arrested, they all scattered. But you can really tell how disillusioned and disappointed they were when in John 21, Peter says, let's go fishing. Now, he wasn't talking about having a relaxing afternoon for fun. He was saying, we might as well go back to our old lives. All of our hopes and dreams have been shattered. And they were giving up. And when he said, let's go fishing, several of the other disciples agreed, yeah, let's go back to our old lives. I guess it was just a 3-year interesting time and it's over. Now in more recent times, there's many, many examples of this happening. But Mark Batterson, in his book, Chase the Lion, he describes how he planted a church in Chicago that failed. That must have been a very difficult experience. Bill Johnson from the Bethel Church in Redding, California, he describes how when he started at Bethel, a very high percentage of the church just up and left. But you know, in every one of these examples, there was a fantastic ending. Jesus performed amazing miracles and calmed the storm. And the disciples became such powerful leaders, they turned the world upside down. And Mark Batterson, he went on to plant a thriving church in Washington, D.C. And the Bethel Church in California, they now have global influence. So if you're currently, this week, disappointed, disillusioned, because something you stepped out in faith didn't work out the way you anticipated, don't give in to self-doubt. Don't give in to self-condemnation. Don't listen to the lies of the enemy that says, give up, you'll always get it wrong, God can't be trusted. Keep walking with him. Keep listening to him. Jesus is still talking to you. You have no idea what miracle is just around the corner. You have no idea how this is going to be turned into a powerful training experience for you. So don't give in to the lies that Satan wants to pull you down with, because God is still leading you. And keep listening to his voice, because you have no idea the great things that he has in store for you. And now I want to hear from you. What circumstances have you been through that initially looked really negative and very disappointing, but God turned it into something unexpectedly great? Just leave your testimonies in the box below the video. And if this is your first visit here, you need to get my free self-assessment guide. And to do that, just subscribe to our weekly email newsletter by filling out the subscription form, which you can access by clicking on the link below that says Join the Transformation Movement. So I'll talk to you again next week, but this week, don't fall into self-doubt and condemnation. God is still leading you.